Hello everyone, welcome to Options with Doug, streaming live daily on Bookmap Discord and the Bookmap YouTube channel at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Before I get started, I need to go through the disclosures. General disclosure. All Bookmap Limited materials, information, and presentations are for educational purposes only and should not be considered specific investment advice nor recommendations. Risk disclosure. Trading futures, equities, and options involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. Here's my contact information. The best way to get in touch with me is through Discord. My name on Discord is Doug P. There's also in Bookmap Discord an Options-Doug chat channel. That's a great place to post questions, content, and comments related to the topics of my presentation and the topics of the channel, which I'll go through in just a moment. And also Bookmap Discord, note that is free and available to everyone, whether you have a Bookmap subscription or not. There's a lot of great content, including my channel. I'm also on X, formerly known as Twitter. My name there is @Pless. The focus of my presentation and the focus of the Options-Doug chat channel is options order flow, the impact of options markets on stocks and futures, and the influence of market maker hedging flow on price action. I have a two-step process for trading, and the first is planning, and I use positional analysis. I look at how traders and market makers are positioned in the options market and how those positions change from day to day to develop a thesis regarding the expected trading range and volatility for the day, as well as a directional bias. And the second step in my process is execution. I look at real-time order flow in Bookmap and real-time market maker hedging flow in Spotgamma Hero to confirm my thesis and for setups for entries and exits. Questions and comments are welcome, and I will be watching both the Options-Doug chat channel and Bookmap Discord, as well as the chat and YouTube for your questions and comments. Please feel free to post, and I'll do my best to answer your questions. And just a note, I am streaming in 1080p in YouTube now. So if you're having any issues with screen resolution in YouTube, you can just go to the gear and change the resolution in YouTube to 1080p. And hello, Don. Welcome. Glad you're here. All right, here's my agenda for today, Wednesday, October 25th. First, I want to cover news items, economic data, events, and earnings for today and the rest of the week. Then I'll go through my positional analysis. Then I'll review some setups from this morning, and then we'll take a look at the live market. All right, so first of all, news items, economic data. Minor report. This morning at 10 a.m., new home sales came in greater than previous, greater than expected. And then yesterday, both Google and Microsoft reported earnings after the close, and there's been a positive response to Microsoft earnings and a negative response to Google earnings. And then today, after the close, Jerome Powell will speak, and then also Meta reports earnings. All right, for the rest of the week, there is some higher impact data coming out. Tomorrow, durable goods and GDP data at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time. Then Amazon reports after the market closes. And then on Friday, the PCE data at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time. That's the economic report for the PCE data. And then just a preview of next week, the FOMC meeting and announcement. The meeting ends on November 1st, Wednesday, November 1st. All right, so that is news, economic data. Let's take a look at some charts now, go through positional analysis. This is the ES futures, S&P 500 futures in Bookmap, and so far the bottom has yet to be determined. Note that now the S&P 500 is trading below the 4,200 put wall. That's the SPX 4,200 put wall. Also the SPY 420 put wall. That's the absolute gamma strike also. So according to Spotgamma, in this situation, the S&P 500 would be oversold, but it is definitely definitely moving down in a very negative gamma environment, and this is something that can happen in a negative gamma environment. That's why I look at it and talk about it every day. All right, before I take a closer look at this chart, let's take a look at a larger time frame. I'm going to start with the SPX 30-day 1-hour chart. Quickly note the key turning points. Here's the 9/15 options expiration, the September options expiration, call dominated, downtrend began, attempted to reverse higher at the October 6th. That was the September jobs report. Gamma squeeze. SPX found resistance around 43.80, trended lower, and there was a potential for a turnaround at the expiration last Friday. The October expiration, very negative gamma, put dominated, and that lasted for about a day or two. And now SPX is broken below the 4,200 level, and looks like the next level down below is this combo level at 40.99. All right, let me point out the key levels on this chart. First of all, the dashed purple lines are showing the lower and upper weekly expected move. That's for the week. That's updated once a week. Then the dashed blue line showing the lower and upper weekly daily expected move. That changes every day. Note SPX is trading well below the lower daily expected move for today. All right, the dashed red lines are showing Spotgamma levels, and I'm going to point out the key daily levels. First of all, there's the 4,200 level that I just mentioned on the Bookmap chart. That's SPX 4,200. That's a put wall. That's a strike with the largest net negative gamma that can be expected to act as support, not doing its job today so far. Then the level above that is 4,300. That is the absolute gamma strike. That's the strike with the largest absolute positive and negative gamma, as well as the volatility trigger. That is Spotgamma's proprietary gamma flip level. Below that level, market makers' position on the gamma curve is negative. In a negative gamma environment, market makers have to trade with price to hedge their delta exposure, and that tends to enhance or increase volatility. And then on the other hand, above that level, market makers' position on the gamma curve is positive. In a positive gamma environment, they have to trade against price to hedge their delta exposure, and that tends to decrease or subdue volatility. And note that SPX is firmly below its volatility trigger in a very negative gamma environment, and certainly that will become much more negative tomorrow if this continues. And it looks like there's no, so far the bottom today has not been found. All right, so SPX below the volatility trigger, below the lower daily expected move. The next level up is the call wall at 4,400. That's the strike with the largest net positive gamma that can be expected to act as resistance. That is not in play for today. And note that level did move lower from yesterday. It had moved up to 4,500. So Monday it was at 4,400, moved up to 4,500 yesterday, back down now to 4,400. And note the absolute gamma strike did move higher from 4,000 yesterday to 4,300 today. All right, that is the big picture. Let's take a look at another SPX chart just for today to see the levels in play for today. So here's the lower daily expected move. SPX attempted to trade above that in the morning, found support at the 4,200 put wall on the 4,201 C3 level, combo 3 level, just above that, and now has reversed lower, found support momentarily, and now is trading much lower, below the lower daily expected move and the put wall. All right, let's take a look at Bookmap now. So at the open, well, let me first point out levels here. So I have my own cloud notes. In my cloud notes, I am showing, of course, the SPX levels that I pointed out before. There's the 4,200 put wall and the combo 3 level just above that combines SPX and SPY gamma weighted open interest into one level converted to an equivalent SPX price, and then I have converted it to an equivalent ES price, and the ES to SPX difference that I'm using today is 23. Let me just check and see where that is right now. So it's somewhere between 22 and 23 today. I use 23, maybe a little bit lower. So again, there's a difference in price between ES and SPX, and I'm using 23 points. So the SPX 4,200 put wall is at ES 4223. That's what I'm showing. I also have SPY levels on this chart that I pointed out before. There's the SPY put wall. S&P 500 trading below that. Here's the lower daily expected move for ES. All right, so those are the levels in play for today. Note right at the cash open, the SPY 422 resistance, some support at the 4,200 level earlier today, resistance at the SPY 421, that is also the SPX 4222, which was noted as support in the Spotgamma AM Founders Note, can also act as resistance as it did there, as well as VWAP. And now the S&P 500 continues to move lower. All right, so those are the levels in play. I pointed out resistance levels, temporary support levels, and the support for the day is yet to be determined. All right, let's take a look at all right, so shifts in levels I mentioned for the SPX, call wall lower, absolute gamma strike higher, and for SPY, the call wall shifted lower. And that was a pretty big move from 440 to 428. So not really in play for today. All right, let's take a look at NASDAQ. So note 350 is the put wall for QQQ. And the put wall for NDX is 14,000. So now NASDAQ is testing the QQQ put wall. Note I don't have any levels below 350. I'll have to update my spreadsheet. All right, so plenty of levels here on this chart. And before I spend more time on this chart, let's isolate first of all the QQQ levels. So here's QQQ. For the day, this cluster of levels, the 355 level, as well as the combo level above and below that, acting as resistance, and now QQQ trading down to the put wall at 350. So far today, SPX, SPY put walls have not held, and we'll see if the QQQ put wall holds. All right, let's take a look at NDX levels now. So here's that cluster of levels, combo levels, as well as the NDX call wall at 600. Price did not make it up there. Reverse lower again at the combo levels. Remember, QQQ 355 was just in the middle of that. All right, so those are the NDX levels. Let's go back to NASDAQ. So here's that cluster of levels that acted as resistance. So just like ES, I have my own cloud notes here. I'm showing QQQ levels. Here's the 350. I'm showing also NDX levels. There's the 0 gamma level. And then again, there's this cluster of levels with 2 combo levels with 355 in the middle. All right, there was only one shift in levels for the NASDAQ, and that was a shift higher for QQQ. The absolute gamma strike shifted higher from 350 to 360. All right, let's take a look at gamma notional now. This is very important to take a look at today so we can understand a bit of what is driving price action. I look at this and talk about it every day. This is market maker's position on the gamma curve at the beginning of the day. Note all these numbers are negative. I'm looking at gamma notional market maker's position on the gamma curve for SPX, SPY, NDX, and QQQ. I generally don't pay any attention to NDX. All right, so for SPX, SPY, QQQ, note all these numbers are negative, very negative. Less negative than yesterday. They all shifted higher, but still negative. So this indicates that traders are long puts, market makers are short puts, and market makers have to trade with price to hedge their delta exposure. So as price continues to drop, those puts are increasing in value. Puts that were out of the money now going in the money, also delta increasing. Market makers want to remain delta neutral, so they have to sell futures to hedge their delta exposure. And this type of strong downtrend is certainly a possibility in a negative gamma environment. All right, let's take a look at the Vanna model, and we can see actually, let me just take a look at one other thing. This is the gamma curve. So when I talk about the gamma curve, this is what I'm talking about. This is for SPX. And the slope of these lines can really be related to speed. So this is showing as price moves up and down in the range shown with this steep curve that in a negative gamma environment below the volatility trigger, market makers have to trade with price to hedge their delta exposure. One thing I want to point out here is a potential floor right around 4,100. Note how the slope of the curve shifts pretty drastically right around 4,100, 40, somewhere between 40.50 and 4,100, indicating at this point market makers are fully hedged and may not need to continue to sell futures to hedge their delta exposure. So at least for today, that's a potential bottom. Potential. All right, let's take a look at the Banner model now. I'm going to start with SPX. So this will be a graphical illustration of what I'm talking about. What this chart is showing is market makers delta notional on the vertical axis, price on the horizontal axis. There are two curves on this chart. The first curve, the light gray curve, shows how market makers delta notional changes with changes in price only. The purple curve adds implied volatility to the equation. That shows how market makers delta notional changes with changes in price and implied volatility. All right, let's take a look at some prices now. So we know SPX is below the 4,200 put wall. Right now it's right around 41.83. That's right around here. So what this is showing is as price has been dropping today, implied volatility increasing, market makers, so price is decreasing, market makers delta notional is increasing. They want to remain delta neutral, so they have to sell futures to hedge their delta exposure. This is when traders are buying puts in SPY and SPX. Market makers take the opposite side of that. They're selling the puts, and they have to sell futures to hedge their delta exposure. Now this can work both ways. If price starts to increase, implied volatility drops, market makers can buy back their short futures. But again, remember, this works both ways. So market makers, traders are buying puts. Market makers have to, and also just prices dropping, implied volatility is increasing. Those puts that traders already own are gaining in value, and the delta is increasing. Market makers have to sell futures to hedge their delta exposure. So we'll take a look at Hero. I mean, they may not be buying puts today, but definitely prices dropping, and those puts that traders already own are increasing in delta. All right, so that is SPX. Let's take a look at SPY. So SPY is trading around 417. So again, on this very steep portion of the gamma curve, indicating as price continues to fall, market makers delta notional will continue to increase, and they will have to sell futures to hedge their delta exposure. And if price starts to increase, implied volatility drops, market makers can buy back short futures. And finally, let's take a look at QQQ. So QQQ still struggling at the 350 put wall, slightly below it. Very, very high up on this Vanna model here. All right, let me check for questions. All right, Pharaoh Hunter asked, hi Doug, hello Pharaoh Hunter. Why do market makers lose money on a trend day? I'm not sure they do. Market makers are making markets and managing their risk. So they manage their risk, again, by trading futures as traders buy and sell options. All right, so they're not losing money. They are hedging their risk with futures again. And Truman asks, what takes precedence in your trading decisions, the gamma notional or the delta notional? So I'm not sure I understand your question. I don't have a precedent. So here I'm aware of the Vanna model. I'm aware that and they kind of go hand in hand. So I'm aware that market maker's gamma notional is negative. A potential for this type of drop is here in a negative gamma environment. So I can look at the Vanna model to see the steepness of this line. So I'm looking at both. There's really they go hand in hand. There's no precedence. And sorry, I don't know how to pronounce your name, AF. Hey, I want to ask how I can use Hero for scalping. I'll talk about Hero in a few minutes. I don't know if it is necessarily great for scalping. It depends on what you mean by scalping. I kind of look at larger term trades and kind of look at the trend of Hero. So we'll talk about Hero in a few minutes. All right, so speaking of that, let's get to take a look at Hero now. All right, this chart is the Hero chart. This is showing price for SPX and the Hero signal, hedging impact real-time options. And this is showing options trades and market maker hedging activity. In this case, that's the purple line, the Hero signal. Again, options trades, market maker hedging activity for a combined signal for SPX, SPY, XSP, and ES futures. All right, note that Spotgamma does provide individual signals for these instruments. This is the combined signal. So let's take a closer look at this. I'm going to talk about some setups from earlier today. So remember, when traders are taking negative delta positions, for example, market makers are taking the opposite side and they have to sell futures to hedge their delta exposure. So that was what was going on at the open. And then right around 10:30, traders started taking positive delta positions. And remember, that was right around the put wall. So there was a short setup, a long setup, and then a short setup right around 11 o'clock. And remember, that was around the 42.22 level. And traders started taking negative delta positions and price reversed lower. Oops. And note, there is an issue with Hero today. There may be an issue with Spotgamma, but there is definitely an issue with CBOE, Chicago Board Options Exchange. So there is definitely an issue with CBOE. I don't know if that's been resolved, but we won't be able to look at a good Hero signal for every instrument. All right, so short, long, then short again, and confirmed with the Hero signal. Price following options trades, market maker hedging activity. And hello, Benham 0703 asks, can I share TRB coin? I'm not sure what that is. So if that's any form of cryptocurrency, no, I don't have any cryptocurrency here. I don't follow it. It's not available in Hero for sure. All right, so let's take a look at Bookmap now. So here's the ES. Let's take a look at the first short. Pretty obvious. These are volume dots. They're showing buy minus sell, delta buy minus sell, and magenta dots indicate there are more sellers than buyers, and green volume dots indicate more buyers than sellers. All right, so there's the short setup, and initially the 4200 level, the put wall, acted as support. Remember, options traders started taking positive delta positions at that level, and order flow shifts positive. Note the green volume dots, and also note that large traders were fading the move lower. That's shown by this light blue line showing they are buying with iceberg orders they use to hide their size. Also, that's shown by the subchart indicator, the on-chart indicator here, showing again they are buying weakness. Then as price moves up to the 4222 level, that's also the SPY 421 level, price consolidates, moves lower as options traders were taking negative delta positions. So the downtrend continued. That started between 11 and 11:30. Downtrend continued until, first of all, attempting to find support at 4200. Then 418, that's SPY 418, then SPY 417. So great short between 11 and 11:30. So you could have sold ES futures, bought a SPY, SPX, ES put. All would have been great trades. All right, so there's the S&P 500, short, long, small, long, and then great short between 11 and 11:30. And note the shift in cumulative volume delta here was good directional indicator. Short, long, then short again. All right, let me check for questions. All right, Bidham asks, how can I find TRB coin heat graphic? I'm not familiar. I'm sorry. You can join Bookmap Discord. There are plenty of crypto traders, and you can take a look at it. Also, Bookmap has a digital version of Bookmap just for crypto. Go to the Bookmap website. Take a look at that. I suggest you join Bookmap Discord. You can also do that from the Bookmap website, free and available to everyone, and learn more about crypto trading in Bookmap. All right, so AF asks, can I choose put and call? So we can take a look at that. So let's go back to Hero. Let's see what traders are doing today. And note that I have this 30-minute look back period. I was using that this morning. So let's shift it to a one-day look back period. It was because of the issues this morning, it was providing a little bit better signal. So now I'm looking at the data for the entire day. Let's take a look at puts and calls. So this is pretty typical, and lost everything. Try that one more time. So they're buying puts and buying calls. Put buyers more aggressive, definitely driving price higher. So the blue line that's shown briefly is showing puts. That the notional value there was about 2.5 billion, and the notional value for calls was about 1.5 billion. Rising orange line, they're buying calls. They're also buying puts, and they're paying pretty high prices for those puts. All right, so that's the hero signal for the day, and so far the total notional value is negative for the day. Right, I don't know what the issue is with showing puts and calls. That won't stay on the screen for some reason. All right, so that is the S&P 500. Short, long, short, and we'll see what happens. So we'll watch the live market in a few minutes. All right, let's take a look at NASDAQ now. And here's NASDAQ. Remember, there have been some issues with Hero. It seems to have affected the NASDAQ signal a little bit more. So what I'm looking at is the combined signal for NDX and QQQ. And so far, actually showing a positive notional value for the day at around 32 million, but has been trending lower since that reversal lower between 11 and 11:30. Let's go take a look at Bookmap. So really two short setups, pretty similar to the S&P 500. Whoops. Sharp drop lower at the open. Aggressive sellers. Price consolidates, moves higher to that cluster of levels that I talked about before. Just below VWAP. Never made it above VWAP. Then the aggressive sellers start to come in again, shown by the magenta volume dots. And price has continued lower. Maybe finding support at the 350 put wall. And note that in the subchart here, cumulative volume delta has been falling lower. That's the pink line. Also sell stops, shown by the falling yellow line, also trending lower. And there really are no large buyers with iceberg orders. That light blue line also moving lower. So net for the day, of course, there are some large traders buying with iceberg orders, but net for the day, that line is trending down, maybe now flattening out a little bit. All right, so the hero signal, again, not providing that much of a help because of the issues this morning. But overall, let's zoom in a bit here from about 11 to 11:30. Overall, definitely trending lower. Traders taking negative delta positions since about 11:05. Let's see what they're doing. So they're buying puts, and they're also buying calls. Net for the day, that number is, the call number is positive, higher than the put number, but recently they have been, starting about 11, they started selling calls, continued buying puts. Spotgamma has indicated when both those lines are moving in the same direction, that is a very powerful signal. So AF, there you go. There are the puts and calls for the S&P 500 as well as NASDAQ. All right, so it looks like just before 2 o'clock they started briefly taking positive delta positions. Right, sorry about that. Nothing I can do about that. All right, let's take a look at some stocks. So I had, there were, again, issues with Hero and CBOE this morning. So some of the signals, are actually many of the signals on single stocks, not very helpful. This is one that is. This is NVIDIA. This is showing that traders are taking negative delta positions. So they are selling calls, shown by the falling orange line, buying puts. So when traders take negative delta positions in a stock, market makers are taking the opposite side. They're taking positive delta, so they have to sell stock to hedge their delta exposure. So, all right, let's try this again. Wanted to point out 430 is the key gamma strike. Then 422.50 is the hedge wall. Hedge wall is similar to a volatility trigger. All right, let's go take a look at Bookmap. Go to NVIDIA. All right, NVIDIA starts to move lower before the broad market, right around 10:30. Aggressive sellers come in, and then price so far is making a series of lower highs today. Here's the 430 level, 422.50, somewhere between these two levels. Is that right, the 422.50? Yeah, 422.50 hedge wall. So price trading below that now. And note the high liquidity at these round number levels. Typically it comes in at the cash open, 9:30. And for a higher price stock like NVIDIA, generally at the zeros and the fives. And that liquidity for a stock typically stays in the order book until it is filled. And the heat map here is showing a history of the limit orders in the order book, and below price that would be buy orders, limit buy orders. Let's just zoom in here. Actually, let me go back out. Sorry about that. So initially it looked like that liquidity was pulled, but looking at this level, it looks like it was filled. All right, so maybe NVIDIA has found a bottom for today. Let's go back to Hero and see what options traders are doing. So options traders are starting to take positive delta positions. Let's just take a look at a shorter time frame. So this gives us a little bit more clarity just looking at the past 30 minutes of data in this 30-minute rolling window period. We can see that right around 1:45 traders started taking positive delta positions. So they started buying calls, shown by the rising orange line, and also selling puts, shown by the rising blue line. So the dip buyers coming in NVIDIA. And we get just get a little bit more clarity by just looking at the, instead of looking at the entire day's worth of data, we're just looking at the last 30 minutes. All right, let's take a look at Tesla now. Note Tesla, the 220 key gamma strike acted as resistance, and at that point traders started taking negative delta positions. Price reversed lower. Let's go take a look at Tesla. So that was a little bit later reversal than NVIDIA, right around 11:15. Let's go take a look at Bookmap. Tesla. All right, so here's the reversal. So pretty strong move up in the morning. Tesla made a series of higher lows, found resistance at the 220 key gamma strike, then reversed lower as options traders shifted from positive delta to negative delta. Now it looks like options traders were coming in again and starting to take positive delta positions. Let's go back to Hero. All right, so it looks like the afternoon dip buyers may be coming in to Tesla as well. All right, so Mr. BJC9 says GEX and Bookmap best tool for day trading. I agreed. So Bookmap, Spotgamma, that's what I use. All right, let's take a look at the stocks that reported earnings yesterday. First of all, let's take a look at Google. And again, this there's an issue with Hero, and let's see if we can zoom in a little bit. So if we get rid of that that blip in the data earlier, what this looks like is just chop in Netflix, up and down with traders taking positive and negative delta positions. So far for the day, gamma notional is slightly negative. Let's go take a look at Bookmap. Take a look at Google. So big drop down in Google after the cash open. Here's the opening print right around 128. Now it looks like Google may be making its way to the high liquidity, all the resting buy orders here that act as a magnet for price, often at 125. That's right here. All right, the next, let's take a look at Microsoft. So Microsoft gapped up today, and then after a very bullish opening print shown by the huge green volume dot, Microsoft is traded lower. Let's see if we can get any clarity in Hero. Let's go to Microsoft. Let's zoom past that blip in the data. So it looks like around 11:30 traders started taking positive delta positions. Note the flow alerts here. Rising Hero signal. And Microsoft chopped around for quite a while, and now looks like it may be trying to move higher as the afternoon dip buyers are coming in, taking positive delta positions. So they have started buying calls now. Just before 2 p.m. started buying calls. That's shown by the rising orange line. A lot easier to see on a 30-minute rolling window period. All right, so those are the stocks that reported earnings yesterday. And let's take a look at Meta that reports after the market closes today. So net for the day, traders are taking negative delta positions. And it looks like Meta may have found support right around the 300 key gamma strike. Note the flow alert here, pretty timely signal, right around 11:10, 11:15, just when everything really started to drop. Let's go take a look at Bookmap. Go to Meta. All right, so Meta's right at that 300 strike now. Looks like I need to add some levels lower. All right, does anyone have any stocks they want me to take a look at? Let me know now and I'll be glad to do that. Otherwise, let's check back with the first the S&P 500. So far today, 417. Maybe holding as support. Some aggressive buyers coming in. Let's go back and take a look at Hero, see what options traders are doing. Also, let's check this Magnificent 7 symbol. This combines those 7 large cap tech stocks: Apple, Amazon, Google, Microsoft, Nvidia, Tesla, and Meta. So far for the day, this total signal is negative in Magnificent 7. Those are also the stocks that are really driving the market lower. We can take a look at that in the heat map in Thinkorswim here. Google, Amazon, Meta, Nvidia. Looking for Tesla, I don't see it. So really large cap tech stocks and communication services, as well as Amazon, driving the market lower. All right, let's go back to S&P 500 now. All right, dip buyers really coming in right around 130, taking positive delta positions. Now price is starting to respond very slowly. Let's go back to Bookmap. All right, Shane wants to look at TLT. All right, I don't have TLT in Bookmap, but we can take a look in Hero. So let's go back to Hero. Take a look for TLT. Let me just get rid of that blip in data. So TLT trending lower. And let's just take a look at a couple of other things here. We'll first take a look at VIX futures. Moving higher, much higher for the day, up about 7%. And let's take a look at the 10-year. Really started rising overnight. And note this is the open right here. This shift from light shade to dark shade. And that is earlier than the cash open for equities. So TLT continues lower, and the 10-year, and actually the TOT is really a combination of the 20-year and 30-year, and then I'm looking at the 10-year here, the Treasury notes. So yield moving higher. This is a negative for equities, especially large cap tech. All right, so there you go, TLT moving lower. Let's go back to the S&P 500, see if those dip buyers are still in. Trying to move price higher. Let's see if we can get any clarity from NASDAQ. So not so much in NASDAQ. Go back to Bookmap. So maybe finding resistance around 418. Let's just check NASDAQ in Bookmap. So far for today, QQQ 350 put wall holding. All right, so now you see why I talk about the market maker's position on the gamma curve is every day, and this large down move can certainly happen in a negative gamma environment. So that is why it's always important to keep aware of that market maker's position on the gamma curve and the Vanna model and how they might react to changes in price and implied volatility, and to be ready for and expect large moves like this in a negative gamma environment. All right, my time is up. I want to thank everyone for watching. Thank you very much for your questions and comments, and I will see you tomorrow. Remember, data, well, first of all, Jerome Powell speaks this afternoon, Meta reports earnings, and then there's data reported tomorrow morning, durable goods and GDP. All right, thanks everyone. Thank you for watching. Thanks for your questions and comments, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.